Hey, good morning. It is Friday, October 15th. On the first and third Friday of the month, we do our Plexus pour overs, which is just a casual conversation in the morning, as awake as you are, to connect, network, and share good news about our community and help Plexus members and Plexus friends connect. This morning, I'm really delighted to welcome our friends and colleagues from the LGBT Center for a real quick conversation about, the importance of National Coming Out Day, which was October 11th on Monday. So if you didn't come out and you want to, you still have time. And also about the Heritage Day Awards, which is a unique 13th or 14th anniversary this year. Which one is, I can't remember.
13th.
No. 13, so 10-3. So it's from the city of Cleveland in partnership with the LGBT Center to really highlight the leadership, impact, rising leaders, community service of our LGBTQ community, our queer community here in Cleveland. And then also just to kind of talk a little bit about the meaning of having an LGBT History Month. So would you all like to tell us who you are in case folks don't know? So Seven, can I start with you?
Yeah, Phyllis Seven Harris, Executive Director of the LGBT Community Center, Greater Cleveland.
Great.
Denise?
Denise Astorino, pronouns are she, her. I'm the Community Engagement and Volunteer Coordinator at the center.
Tom's unmuted, and then we'll wrap it in with Ellie.
My name is Tom Stiebel. He, him, his are my pronouns. I am a longtime volunteer at the center and friend of the center. I'm also a community activist and advocate. I was awarded a Heritage Award in 2015 for public service.
Wonderful.
I'm Ellie Turan, and I pronoun she, her, hers, and I'm Director of Development at the center.
Awesome. Well, I really appreciate being here in conversation with you all, and I miss seeing you more often. So thanks for making time to pop in here with us for this quick conversation. So, the first kind of, question that's on my mind, or I've been thinking a lot about this week, is what's the significance of an LGBT History Month? I know one thing for me that I think about is sometimes as we're trying to exist, we might not be thinking about having a legacy or a history as a community, or maybe even sometimes as an individual. So what is the importance of having an LGBT History Month? And then how does the Heritage Awards here in Cleveland tie into that?
Well, I can answer the first part of that question in terms of the significance of LGBTQ History Month. Personally, I really feel like it helps me to remind me that what we see right now in front of us is, yes, part of the movement, but we're not alone. It gives me strength to know that there were folks, before me who fought for our rights, our protections, who fought to be out and live their lives authentically. And I believe, you have to look back at your history to know where you're going, not to stay stuck there, but to build on, what has been accomplished, and to be able to say, like, we've been, fighting for this for 50 years and have only gotten this far. To get regrounded, to pull on the strength of those who came before us, and remember we're a part of a movement.
Yeah.
And to, it's not enough to have, like, whether it's Black History Month or Hispanic Month, it's not enough to have just a month for any of these identities that are marginalized. And so, if we have June for Pride, I'll take it. If we have October for LGBTQ History Month, I'll take it. And more. The second part of your question, the significance of Heritage Day, I want to engage Tom, who knows the history, I believe, in terms of when it first got started. Is that true, Tom?
That's true. The city of Cleveland gives heritage awards to many subsets of the population here in Cleveland. For instance, there's an Italian American Heritage Award, Hispanic Heritage Awards. And so why not have one for the LGBT community? It reminds us that we're worthy of respect just as much as these other communities, and we're worthy of celebration, a celebration of our community and the people who have helped us get this far. And then to me, Heritage Month is about remembering that we have a history. We have this long history, and we should honor it. And we've made history here in Cleveland, and the Heritage Awards are a way to honor those individuals who are history makers.
Yeah, yeah. And I appreciate the way that, Seven, you started for me personally. There is this way that it's like, how does this connect to us personally? And then where does that intersect and connect on a larger cultural paradigm in society? And then Tom, I appreciate the way that when, even just with the word heritage, we often think of heritage as a very specific kind of like cultural, national word. But what I like about that when we bring it out is that we have impact and connection and things to celebrate, like what you're saying. Denise, you've been really, not to grab you while you're drinking out of your beautiful Starbucks mug, but it is the pour over, taking those morning drinks. You've been really leading this year's Heritage Award, working with the selection committee, putting together an amazing social media campaign on Saturday the 9th. It was a wonderful thing to wake up to. So can you tell us a little bit more about the process and this year's awardees?
Absolutely.
Thank you.
So the Heritage Day it's significant also in the way that the community members can nominate colleagues, co-workers, mentors, whoever they feel, as Tom and Seven had stated, the history makers and the people, the advocates and the activists in the community who are really pushing to like visibility and support. And so it's a wonderful process of the application goes out into the world in September, and people start to nominate different people. And so we receive them, and they're wonderful tributes. You may get like 3-4 people. I remember last year we had a nominee who had about 7 different people nominate them. So, but it's a wonderful way to bring the community together, because a lot of times we get so siloed in our own, like, I have this work to do and I'm doing this, and we forget that we're all connected, So the Heritage Day, it's one of my favorite things because it really draws people together and makes people stop and go, hey, I'm going to really highlight this other person's work because they're amazing and they've been really making a difference. So that's a wonderful trait about the Heritage Days. So we send out the applications, the nominees come in, and then the selection committee is chosen. This year it was I had the luck of having Tom back on board, and it's a process of you talk to different people and you try to get a diverse group of people who are going to really reflect what the truth of Heritage Day really is. Different people from different communities, from different walks of life, and to bring them together to say, collectively, let's look through these nominees and let's make a choice. So they have a couple of weeks to look through the nominations. There's a rubric that we look through and certain criteria, and then we choose. So it's a community process, which is pretty wonderful.
Yeah, and can you tell us about who we're celebrating this year and what we get to learn from and about them?
Sure. So
if you have that list memorized, I don't know. I mean, it's impressive.
Oh yeah, I do. So for advocacy and activism, we have Ken Schneck, who founded the Buckeye Flame, and who does multiple different things. But the Buckeye Flame is a huge tool of just voice. for the community. And then for workplace inclusion, we have Michelle Tamalo, who is one of the co-founders of FIT and also involved in various organizations, LGBTQ organizations in the area. We have for Rising Leader, we have Roman Salato. I have to get their name correct. I apologize, but they are a student at Salato Longo. Thank you. I have to remind myself. They are a student at School of One, and we're nominated by.
Great.
Yeah.
Remind us what School of One is, because people might not know that that our LGBT center has a school. I mean,
absolutely. Yeah. Exactly. The School of One is in partnership with Cleveland Metropolitan School District. They are an LGBTQ school for students that is located in the center. So
awesome.
We have students that it's pretty awesome. We have students that are there, come in and out all day. So and the teachers are great. So Roman was nominated, and then there for arts and culture, we have Bella Sin, who is a huge activist in all kinds of different levels of the community, in the Latinx community. Burlesque really uses arts as a tool for activism. And then for health and wellness, we have Mintz. I'm sorry.
Laura Mintz.
I keep wanting Laura. I am so sorry, Laura Mintz. And so then we have a new category. First for public service, we have Tony Correa, who is the founder of the B. Riley House. And then we have a new category that was created this year, and we are titling it the Legacy Award.
Oh yeah, I saw that.
Yeah, the Legacy Award is coming for the need of candidates who cross different categories. You know, whether it is the time they've been in advocacy or the public service they've done. I mean, we get candidates that are nominated for multiple categories. And so the Legacy Award is something new that people will be able to nominate someone for in any category. And really the criteria is you've been doing this, again, with the legacy, you've been doing this quite some time. And so we're thrilled to offer that to Aaron. Aaron Nash will be honored with that award.
Awesome. That's great.
Yeah, that's everybody.
Well, let me thank you for putting you on the spot to remember the names, the heritage, the background. So I appreciate that. And in the chat, everybody, I dropped the link to the LGBT Center's website for both the Heritage Day Awards, so you can get a little bit more familiar, actually a lot more familiar, right? Like, let's know the names of the people that we honor within our community and the organizations and communities that they're representing and that they're impacting. I also dropped a link in there for the School of One, because I think it's really amazing and unique, and it's something that we can make sure students and young people can get connected to. So I know that, Seven, I know that you're popping in here for us for just a little bit. So I was going to switch over to this other question, and I know I want to hear from Ellie on it too. But the question is, you know, as we are making the strides in our community, right? And like you're saying, we need to remember where we came from, who else has done this work, but what are some of the areas that rise to the top for you, or in the center's lens, the areas of most pressing work that we need to continue to do within our queer communities and outward? So if you want to answer that for us, then we can say farewell. And then Ellie, with all the advocacy work, the editorials that you're writing, the real platform that you've been helping to leverage and elevate since becoming a member of the LGBT Center staff, I'd love to have you come in second on that.
Yeah, you know, it's a question that we get often, and it's always, and for me, feels like hard to rank, you know, most pressing, you know, but what we see, you know, at the center, as you know, so what most pressing is that we get all the rights and respect that we deserve. So passing the Equality Act is important. On the ground, like the day-to-day stuff, you know, the challenges that we face are around, you know, people who are housing insecurity for LGBTQ folks, particularly trans-identified folks, and them being able to have a safe place when they need emergency housing or, you know, shelter. We still are, kids are still being bullied in schools. And so, it's why a place like the School of One is important at the center. There's still issues around just basic, rights and respect around employment, around being not discriminated against, because folks can, claim, religious beliefs for not serving individuals. There's nothing new that is most pressing. It's all really pressing, right? So someone just said the other night, I was on a call and they talked about, you may have heard this, when Black women are healthy and whole and taken care of, then everybody will. I think that extends to Black trans women, so if we look at what happens in the city and some of the work that Ellie does in terms of her journalism and pointing out, that we really in this city have not come together in a way that we have built coalition across these organizations. NEOC does a great job, with trying to lead some of this around addressing the issue of supporting, trans women, Black trans women, folks who have to depend on survival sex in order to live and have basic needs, because there are not other opportunities that where we can really invest in support and building trust with people who have had to survive the way some folks have. And so these issues are, all very important. We had a panel yesterday that really looked at access to medical care, and what happens to LGBTQ identified folks when we get into health systems. And, so it's really taking a look at all of these systems that weren't built with folks or created with folks like us in mind, and challenging them are some of the most pressing issues for the center, and how to advocate and support people through these systems.
And when you say, you said survival sex, is that what you said? Do that work? This is what I love about language, the specificity of it. And so what that's talking about is that sometimes people have to engage in sex work, which makes them more vulnerable, but it's because of all these other marginalizations, discrimination that they're experiencing. So that's the first time I've heard it framed that way. And I really value that, because it's more specific. It's not talking about a choice. It's about talking about having to survive, right? And how are we all implicit and complicit in that? And what can we do to uplift it? I'm also going to drop in the chat, because I don't know if this is the call that you were on, but something I've been really tuned into is Project Noir by Work Enlightened, which was a massive research study that was undertaken by Work Enlightened after it was made more clear that Cleveland is one of the worst places to live for Black women, right? So quality of life, all the different things, right? And so Project Noir is an ongoing project. You should follow Work Enlightened on social and stay connected to that, and get familiar with that PDF. So when you said that, it reminded me of that work that they're doing there. So I dropped that there.
Just being connected to all of the issues. If you're thinking of social determinants of health around, looking at food and transportation and housing and access to healthcare, and you compare that to some of the challenges that LGBTQ folks have, you see why, we need to exist in the way that we do, where we are partnering with organizations who have expertise around those things to be able to get LGBTQ folks access to them in a way that we can be our authentic selves.
Right. The way the center really is a center with all these different spokes in the wheel coming in to have those partnerships. And then beautifully, when you look at the Heritage Day Awards, you look at this, you can see the ways in which we're taking a moment to celebrate individuals or organizations that are seeking to hopefully end some of this stuff. So if you have to go, because you're making time for us, I so appreciate your time. So thank you.
Thank you, everyone. The only other thing I would say that is really important, and every year we get a little bit better at this, depending on what's going on in our capacity, is there are so many more people who are eligible to be nominated for the Heritage Day Awards. And so now that you know about them, when this comes around every year, I know folks who would be eligible. So more nominations, tell people.
Awesome. Thanks.
Thanks
so much,
everyone.
Phyllis. Appreciate you. So Ellie, can you talk to us? So one of the things I mentioned, Ellie, is that I am often turning, I mean, I think the first time I met you was I heard you on Idea Stream, right? Talking about Cleveland being the per capita leader in trans murder, right? So you've continued to bring this forward in the spotlight and talk about the ways that we have work to do around protecting those most vulnerable in Cleveland and in our community. Can you talk to us more about that?
Yeah, when I started that work, which was when I was serving on the board of the LGBT Center, and I was chairing the transgender and gender nonconforming subcommittee, and I had been reading all these terrible news reports about murders, and one particular report, and this was written by B.J. Colangelo when she was with Scene, and we had 3 recorded murders that year, which she pointed out represented 15% of the national total of recorded trans murders. And that was when I started really looking into the numbers to find out, what is going on. I didn't go into that research with any preconceived notions, but, I just thought BJ's red flag was enough for me to look into it. And what I was, I started reading all the reports from all over the country and recording them. And what I was really disturbed to find was that, not only did Cleveland have, it's not even per capita, but at the time that I was writing, which was last year, we had, the worst. We had, by just according to gross of recorded murders, Cleveland had the worst. And I sent that off to get published. I had to shop it around a little bit. I think some publications were maybe a little bit afraid to put that out there. But Scene Magazine put it out there. And the response was like, no way, not possible. Like, how would that be? And my response to that is, and I'm saying this as a native Clevelander. I grew up here. I'm making my life here. So I'm saying this out of love, but sometimes love has to be a little bit tough. Clevelanders shouldn't be surprised that we have the worst violence against trans people, particularly Black trans women, because, well, gee, I mean, it's an intersectional crisis. You mentioned Project Noir, that Cleveland has the worst outcomes for Black women in general. And now you're putting transgender identity on top of it. How many trans people do you see walking around in the downtown Cleveland business community? Do you even know any? Do you know any who are out? These are this is why we shouldn't be surprised. And we're a city that's, heavily stratified with inequalities. We have some neighborhoods that are gentrifying very quickly, and then others that are just completely left behind in a food desert. That you take all of that, and then you add, not a big enough infrastructure. You add lack of health and human services. You add draconian, backwards-minded, antiquated laws that, criminalize individuals who engage in survival sex, criminalize individuals who have HIV and AIDS, criminalize individuals who are homeless. Put it all together, that's the perfect storm scenario. And so I don't think that anyone should really be surprised about the fact that Cleveland, unfortunately, has this terrible title of worst in the country for trans murders, because sadly, all of the factors are there. And unless we start unraveling those factors, I think that statewide protection would be absolutely necessary. And I think federal protection is absolutely necessary. But just that in and of itself isn't going to lift all of us up. That will lift up those of us who are assimilated.
Right.
That'll lift up the white LGBT people and the people who can blend in when they want to. It won't necessarily help everyone else.
Right. So I hear that my sound is coming in and out, so hopefully that y'all can hear me. So there's really important things about staying aware to the resources that are available, or the reporting that's available. So again, get familiar with Project Noir, visit the LGBT Center's page to see what reports are there and studies are there. You often are involved in research. And also, whenever we're thinking about impacts of poverty, of food deserts, all these other things that usually when we're talking about LGBT History Month or heritage, those aren't top of mind, but those are top of mind for many in our community, right? And so when it's all intersectional in that work that we get to do. So I'm going to bring us in for a close here on our recording of this. I appreciate you all and the work that you're doing and the leadership that you're exhibiting at the center and beyond. And I'm going to stop us there and we will go into our regular networking. So to wrap though, the first and third Fridays, it's the Plexus pour over. It's a casual time to get connected and maybe we'll have more of these panel conversations at the top of the hour.